On with the top five, Beijing is warning the U.S. to be cautious in its words and actions on the territorial disputes involving China and its neighbors.
We think the show the relevant sides have put on is enough. They should give it a rest. If they really care about this region's peace and stability, they should rationally, objectively, fairly treat China's relevant measures and stop making trouble on this issue.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry warning comes amid a diplomatic wrangle over Beijing's newly announced air defense zone in the East China Sea. Before this, Washington had warned Beijing against imposing an air defense zone over both the South China Sea and East China Sea. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said recently that Washington would help its regional allies in protecting their territorial waters. China and its neighbors lay similar claims to parts of the strategic and resource-rich seas. Let's bring in our correspondent Stephen Ribe, who joins us from Beijing to tell us more about this. Stephen Ribe, warning coming there from China. Is the U.S. going to react, do you think? And how serious of a warning is this coming from China? Are they going to follow through with anything?
China's made many warnings to the U.S. basically to stay out of its territorial disputes that it has with its neighbors. Maritime-wise, they are most notably Japan, Vietnam, and the Philippines. America says it takes no position on these maritime disputes, but at the same time it is actually moving to support these three countries. Now, this warning of China's comes in the aftermath of two recent incidents. One is the aircraft, China's sole aircraft carrier, was doing maneuvers in the South China Sea. It had notified everybody that it was doing these maneuvers, and a U.S. missile destroyer came very close. China said it was harassing this flotilla, and it sent one of its ships steaming straight at the U.S. missile destroyer. There was a near miss. That's being played down now by the China Defense Ministry, although China originally said it took these offensive actions because it was being harassed by this U.S. ship. The other thing is, on Monday, Kerry was in Vietnam, where he committed more money to both the Philippines and Vietnam. He said he was going to give Vietnam another 18 million or something to bring the total for the region up to 150 million. Vietnam's going to get 5 new fast patrol boats. So quite obviously, the U.S. is actually taking side against China in these disputes. What needs to be said is the last week we saw, or over the past month, we've seen a big row about China's new air defense identification zone, which it's established in the East China Sea. I think America is now preempting that it will establish a similar zone in the South China Sea, which it claims almost entirely. America is clearly bolstering its support for its allies in a preemption of that.
Yeah, it sounds like this is not over. Thank you very much, Stephen Ribe, talking to us there from Beijing. Thank you, Stephen.